Alright YouTube, it's Thursday, May 21st, and we're going to do our first little repair on the old 66 Ford. I was supposed to wanting to get back on the Power Stroke, but I went down to the DMV today to talk about getting the title transferred over. A truck comes from Indiana, got transferred over to Kentucky title, and asked them what all I got to go through. At first I was going to get title only, so I would just take my time and work on it, and the way they talked, they're not really, if I trailer it down there, whether I get title only or go ahead and register it, I still got to get the sheriff to look at it, go through inspection. But I told her what was going on, what I felt like I had to do to the truck. I told her about the cab supports and all that. And all they seem to care about is if turn signals, horn, and running lights and windshield wipers and stuff like that work. Basically start, run, and all your electrical accessories, and that's pretty much all they care about. So I'm going to try to get it ready for that next week, and that's the plan. I'm off all next week. We got Memorial Day, and then I took 4 vacation days afterwards. So I'm going to try to, I know I got to get the horn working. It doesn't work. Everything else I think works except for the brake lights. They might work. I haven't really checked them yet. The reason I don't think they work is when the headlights quit working on me. That's when I noticed they weren't working either. It was dark and I could see when I pushed the brake pedal. But that's the goal. I'm going to try to get everything ready to where I can just trailer it up there once, get it inspected and registered. What are you bumping into me for? And just get it done. That way I'm free to do whatever I want, and whenever I do something to it, I'm free to test drive it. So here's what we're doing first. We got the steering column out of it, as you can see. It's out of there. But I think I told you in the introduction video that the rag joint was tore. Make sure my camera isn't focused. Oh, here's the old one, and here's these old metal pins. You can see what was going on there. See that? These are supposed to go. Here's my new rag joint. All I bought was this, and it comes with pins. It's a universal rag joint. Fits just an AutoZone help type product. It was only $9, but this fits. Let's see if it says. Can't really see. I think it's a universal one. It fit. Okay, there it is, right there where it says applications. Chrysler, GM, and Ford, 65 and newer. So it's what we needed. You get one pin that was the correct size, as you can see, original size, and for some reason they only gave me one of those, and the rest of them are, yet this one came with it, and that one, and that doesn't matter because this rag joint bolts to this piece. As you can see, I already have those pins securing those together, and this is supposed to go like this. Luckily the original bolt holes are still good. I'm going to bolt that to that, and I'm going to weld up this where they had been rubbing it. Originally I think this came out around here, and it's slotted. It's not, these pins aren't supposed to fit super tight. Your bolt holes, which connect the rag joint to this flange, are what take up any steering slack. Provided everything's alright, that rag joint, leather rag joint, is supposed to be good enough. So I'm going to grind this crap out clean and flat, and I'm going to make me kind of like a two repair pieces, and I'm going to bolt this down to it, scribe it all out, and weld it up. So I'm going to have to go find my tripod, and we'll cut out some metal and cut this out, and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, just going to show you how I'm going to go about and make this repair. Like I said earlier, I went ahead and ground this out, cleaned it out, and I went up in my attic, and I remembered I had this old Cougar steering column, and here's what it's supposed to look like. So I'm kind of using it as a template to copy off of. Excuse me. And like I said, these pins are not supposed to be a really tight fit because the rag joint gets bolted up tight, and that way it makes it flexible, kind of like a steering knuckle or whatever, but it's just leather. This one actually looks like rubber. But what I've done is I've used, let's see, where is that piece I cut out? Here's one of them. I pretty much just traced a pattern out of this and then started cutting. I just used an old, uh-oh, I probably shouldn't show that for copyright infringement, but I just used some junk mail. And then I traced out a complete copy of the leather rag joint, and then I started trimming this. And as you can see, that fits pretty decent, and I'm going to cut me out a piece of steel. As you can see, I've got this one laid out just with a magic marker, just like that, and I'm going to be whittling on that with my cutoff wheel, and just a grinder and a cutoff wheel. I've got it out here. Let's see, since I'm too lazy to walk over there, I'll zero in on it. Just use that, just a big cutoff wheel and a little 90-degree hand grinder, which usually takes a 4-inch wheel. I got a big 7-inch wheel on it. And I'm going to go ahead and center spot this and drill that out, and that way I'll have a hole here, and then I'll just cut around it all, and once cutting it, we'll get it close, and then I'll just kind of clean it up with a grinder. I'll get it close enough to weld on there, and then it'll be easier once it's all welded on there to kind of take the grinder and smooth it out into a decent looking circle all the way around. But just showing you how I'm doing that. It's really not that hard. Doesn't have to be perfect as long as it fits and the holes line up. And once it's in there, no one will see it. So hang on, I'll show you how it turns out. Okay, just showing you what we've accomplished here. I've made one side. This is what it's going to look like. And what I've done is I went ahead and bolted my strap, rag joint as they call it, and this is going to fit in there. As you can see, it's not exactly correct shape just yet, but I'm going to go ahead and tack weld this in, and then once I get it welded up, I'm going to take my time so I don't get my rag joint too hot. I'm just going to tack it like here and here, let it cool. Hopefully I can remove the rag joint, weld it up more solid on both sides, and then I'm going to leave this part unwelded, and I'm going to, hopefully I can take a hammer and tap it around to where it meets right here. Basically it's going to look like that. See how that's got that bend? And then hopefully once I get that bent up, I can weld it all up, and when I grind the welds off, it will look pretty close to original. And once I grind the welds down and paint it, get it down in the truck, no one will be the wiser. And that's how I'm going to do it without really spending much money at all. I spent $9 on this little rag joint kit, which came with these pins and bolts and just little stuff like this. There's another one of these somewhere I need to find. I think that goes here. See how these bolts are kind of mashed into the leather? Shouldn't be that way, and I think that's what these are for. If not, I'll just put some regular washers on it. So I'm going to get this tack welded on, and I'll show you how it ends up. Alright, now it's now Saturday, May 23rd. Friday I ended up going to a rod run, or yesterday rather. But I went ahead and finished up everything this morning, and as you see, I got it all welded up and ground down, and it looks pretty close to being original. I'm going to paint over it. I mean, it's not perfect, but you can see a little bit of imperfections in there, but for what it is and where it's going to be, it's not bad. Just want to show you that I'm going to cover it with a little paint. Let me get it off the vise here and flip it upside down, show you the other end. It's not a bad job for using scrap metal laying around the garage. And here's my flange, and it fits pretty darn good. Bolt holes line up pretty good, and it's ready to bolt on. I'm going to go ahead and find another bolt here. As you can see, I've been busy because I got a mess. There we go, another bolt. But yeah, I probably spent more time than I should have just grinding those welds down. But I think it's kind of worth it, because once that gets painted, it's going to, when down in the truck, it's going to look okay. It's not going to look like a botched job, I hope. And that's where it's supposed to go on. Of course, this little spline part here goes on the steering box, and I'll have to get some lock washers and nuts to put on that. And here's just a little comparison to an old original one. And I guess some of y'all wondering, why did I go to the trouble of doing that and just finding another one? Because number one, I don't want to use that one because I would like to put that steering column on eBay. It's for a 71-3 Cougar, and I'm trying to get rid of all my 71-3 Cougar parts, get a little money out of them. It was off a parts car I bought a long time ago. And how long would it take me to find a steering shaft for a 66 F-100? Probably a lot more time than I want to spend hunting around and all that. And who knows what it would cost once I found it. Some people, when they have old car parts, they treat it like gold. As you can see, this hole here looks kind of offset, which I guess it is. I don't know. But it's not perfect, but it lines up with the flange, and that's all that matters. So I'm going to go ahead and shoot some paint on this and let that dry. And while that's drying, I'm going to grab me a little something to eat and hopefully get this column in here tonight. And since that cab is still got the blocks under it where it's in a decent position, hopefully we can drive around the yard and see if we can you know, just put around the yard or maybe down the gravel road or something and just see how it feels. Hang on. Okay, now it's Saturday afternoon. We finally got it all together. There is what it's supposed to look like, and like I said, the welding I did doesn't even show once it's together. That freshly painted flange looks kind of out of place with all the other dirty and rusty stuff, but I have drove it around the yard and it steers quite easy. I ended up blocking the cab up a little bit. If you remember, I told you I put wood blocks under it because the cab supports are rotted out, because after I got this column and stuff back in, the clutch was rubbing right on this piece here. If you can watch it move, I don't know if you can see that or not. It's hard to tell. I'm looking through the little screen, but I did that, loosened the column back up here and this plate and this plate right here, and then jacked it up and then tightened it all back up, and now it clears. But like I said, those blocks are not a permanent fix. It's just so I can drive it around the yard. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it down the gravel road and maybe out to the mailbox. And I'm tempted to take it over to the school. I don't think it'd really hurt anything. Let me figure out where I put the key, and I'll see if I can find a place to put the camera, and we'll give it a try. Okay, I just got the camera taped to the top of the seat. It's going to be kind of a bouncy ride as far as the view goes, and like I said, remember, this old truck has got a long way to go before it's going to be a decent drive. There's going to be a lot of rattles and beating and banging. I've got all kinds of bushings missing, and like I said, it's going to be rattly and noisy. I just want to just go down the gravel road, and I might be tempted to take it to that school parking lot. I'm not sure yet. One thing, after lining up that steering for a manual steering, it steers pretty decent, at least as far as easiness. I don't know what that rattle is in the back. Like I said, a lot of rattles. It's going to take a while to get this old truck to where it's really comfortable to drive. But it's kind of cool just to put around in it for now. Alright, going through the field. This is going to be kind of rough. You hear all kinds of clanging and beating. That's those bushings that are gone on those, I think they're called radius arms. There's a rabbit. We got rattles coming from the back. first. I'm sure my neighbor's going to be eyeballing this. Wondering what I'm doing with this old piece of crap. This old truck's fun to drive, though. Oh, I don't know if you can hear me. Choke's still out. Popping and crackling. That just makes it cool. Yeah, ain't too bad to test it out through here. Feels like it's got halfway decent power. I don't think it's geared very low though. I need to check the tag, look up what gear is supposed to be in it. We didn't really want this school built here. This used to be an old farm, but really it's kind of convenient for testing out something like this. Should be able to drive it here without really getting into any trouble. Ooh, the sun is bright. I didn't bring any sunglasses either. I don't have any sun visors. I don't know if I can go all the way around to the other side of the school or not. But this is a decent place to drive it. And it steers pretty easy. I like it. For a manual truck. Manual steering, that is. You can't wait to get all the rattles out of it. Fix the exhaust leak, stuff like that. Get this thing sitting on some solid cab mounts and stuff. But for now, I'm just having I hadn't fun with this old thing. I don't know if I can go all the way around here or not. I may have to turn around, yeah. We come to a dead end. Brake pedal feels a little spongy, but it's not bad. Get the radius arms clanging again. Oops, I wasn't all the way in gear. I'm not used to this old 3-speed on the column. It's a long time since I drove one. But I can tell it wouldn't take long to get used to this old truck, especially if everything was new and tight under it, which it will be eventually. I will go through the front end, replace what needs, or maybe just replace it all anyway, since it's all so old. This is kind of fun to put around in this thing. Turn signal's still on. Hard to keep it in the middle. I'll probably need a new turn signal switch. Smelling a little bit of antifreeze. I'm sure the radiator is tight. I'm hoping I'll put that cap back on right. Because I took the cap off this morning and it hadn't been started for 2 or 3 days and it's still hissed. So I think the radiator's good and tight. Yeah, this is kind of fun though. Turn on the old radio again. Yeah, I smell some antifreeze. We'll have to figure out where that's coming from. I think I can get out this way. That's the way I came. Heavy it is. Hesitant to give it too much gas because of that popping with the exhaust leak and stuff. The sun is so bright, you can barely see through this dirty windshield. But I've been a long time wanting just something old like this to fool with, and slowly but surely make it better. This will be a front old truck to drive when I get it squared away. Kind of excited about it. Let's get the mail. it's just a bed rattling up and down. That was kind of cool. Off the hood real quick. Let's see if is that thing still recording. Yep, sure is. Kind of hard to make a video like this by yourself. Be easier with a camera guy or person, but I don't. Let's see if I can see any antifreeze leaks. I do smell something. If I can get this hood open one-handed. Smell some oil on the exhaust. Understandable. No, I don't see anything. Could be this old rotten hose dripping a little bit. That will have to be fixed. Like I said, got a long way to go before we're gonna be actually using this truck and going driving it to town, and maybe even driving it to work every now and then. But that's what this video was about, getting that steering fixed, and that worked out pretty good. It steers surprisingly easy. I know the other trucks I looked at that were more expensive, like the 68 and 9s I mentioned. I think I mentioned them earlier in this video, or the first video of it. They were extremely tight to turn, and like I was saying about the cab supports, even though they hadn't collapsed yet, they were going to need them too, and maybe they had sunk a little bit and were starting to bind up too. Which is, like I said, what caused this steering to do that. So, yeah, when you get it, just goes to show you when you get the cab up where it's supposed to be and aligned, these old manual steering trucks are really not that hard to turn. Of course, if you jump out of a newer modern car with power steering, rack and pinion steering, and all that, yeah, it does take some getting used to. But enough blabbing about this. Next thing I need to do is I'm gonna try to do some videoing of it. Get my brake lights working. I got a good suspicion of what's going on. This truck has a pressure switch which activates the brake lights. You can see a cut wire here. This wire's been cut here, and if you see that tape, I think I got it zeroed in. It's hard to see. It's under. Yeah, right there. It's cut there. So, yeah, we'll get our little light tester out and just start testing. And as far as the horn goes, I think I got some horns up in the attic. They're missing. And I also need to find this piece. This looks exactly like the ring that was on the original steering wheel from my 64 Fairlane. I still have it somewhere. So I'll be looking for that. Spring's supposed to go under this. Has got one broken clip. So probably it might be just a matter of reconnecting cut wires. Why people cut wires on this, I do not know. Maybe they had a reason, maybe they didn't. But we'll try to get all that in order, and maybe by Tuesday or Wednesday we can get this thing on a trailer. Since the Power Stroke's apart, I'm gonna look into renting a U-Haul truck. I don't know what it costs. I just want to get it done, and if we can get them to pass it through inspection where I can get a plate too, we'll go ahead and get it all done and over with. But if they don't let me do it and give me title only, I'll be happy with that too. I just want the title on my name so I can really start digging into it. Like I said, I don't want to get too deep into it until I have my title, you know, the Kentucky title. So anyway, like I said, I'm going to quit gabbing about it. Thanks for watching. Thanks to my new subscribers. I noticed a few new ones since this truck came on video, so hopefully we'll get a little bit more audience because we're doing different things, different types of vehicles. So that's it for now.